All right, one of the most important things we study in Algebra 2 are quadratic equations. And a quadratic equation is something that looks like this. Say x squared plus 4x plus 3. Now, notice that a quadratic equation is a polynomial, only has one variable. All of the exponents are 0, 1, 2, 3, some non-negative whole number. And all of the coefficients of the variable are real numbers, 1, 4. There are going to be basically four things that we're going to be interested in studying quadratic equations. Quadratic equation itself, what are called its factors. And factors are simply two expressions of degree 1, for example, x plus 1 and x plus 3. Now, if I multiply these two out, I come back to x squared plus 4x plus 3. So these are factors. Just like, for example, 6 is equal to 2 times 3. X squared plus 4x plus 3 is equal to x plus 1 times x plus 3. The next thing we're going to be interested in are what are called roots. And the roots of a polynomial or a quadratic equation are simply where it is equal to 0. Now, this is closely related to the graph. So if we look at the graph of a quadratic equation, we'll look at this one here. Its roots are actually -1 and -3. And when you graph a quadratic equation, you get a parabola, this thing that looks like an upside down St. Louis arch. Notice that its value is 3, its value is 0 at these 2 points, where x is equal to -1 and x is equal to -3. And these are the roots. If I put in -1, I get back 0. If I put in -3, I get back 0. And if you look at its factors, you can see that for this factor, if I put in a -1, then -1 plus 1 is 0, and 0 times anything is 0. And if for this factor, if I put in a -3, -3 plus 3 is 0, and then 0 times the rest of this is 0. So this is the fourth thing we're going to be interested in, the graph, which is always going to be a parabola. Sometimes it'll cross the x-axis, sometimes it won't. Later on, we'll deal with parabolas that don't cross the x-axis. So once again, the four things that we're going to be interested in. 1, the quadratic equation itself. 2, the factors of that quadratic equation that we multiply to get it. 3, the roots, which are the 2 spots where the quadratic equation is equal to 0, which correspond to the 2 spots on its graph where it crosses the x-axis. And then the last thing is the graph itself, to be able to draw a graph that goes through the 2 correct roots.